Hallo allerseits willkommen zu meinem Video zur Geschichte Deutschlands. Welcome to my history of Germany. This is going to be a long video, and it's going to have some pretty sad stuff in it. Anyways, let's begin. In 1907, in the small town of Mauer, the bones of the specimen named Mauer 1 after the town were found by an archaeologist named Daniel Hartmann. They were part of the species Homo heidelbergensis, named after a town nearby, and dated to be 600,000 years old, marking the beginning of the history-filled country, Deutschland, aka Germany. On July 24th, 1933, in Steinheim, another small town, the Steinheim Skull was found. It belongs to a new species of human, which was named Homo steinheimensis after it. It was dated to be 350,000 years old. To this day, the gender remains a mystery. In 1870, the Holy Fells, or the Hollow Caves, which is what it means in German, were discovered. In them, many cave paintings were found, but the most notable thing found in it would have to be, hands down, the Venus of Holy Fells, which, by the way, nudity alert. It is made of mammoth ivory. It was found in 2008 and dates to be 42,000 years old. What's very significant about it is that it is the oldest, undisputed depiction of a human ever found. Around 4,500 years ago, the mysterious corded ware culture, as it is now known, quickly began and ended mysteriously. These people left behind a lot of pottery. Other than that, we don't know much about them, and sorry if you hear a helicopter in the background. Around 3,200 years ago, the elusive tumulus culture had its time. The culture involved vivid burial traditions, including gold. Speaking of gold, this culture's time existing wasn't good as gold, as it also mysteriously disappeared. Around 500 BCE, the often forgotten Celts built a fortress known as the Hunenberg Fortress, at least today is called that. Today, the foundation still exists today, and a recreation is built on top of it. In 50 BCE, Julius Caesar conquered the Gauls, which were a Germanic people group. And by the way, there's a huge difference between German and Germanic. German means ethnically German, and Germanic means German-based, whether you speak the language or something like it. I'm speaking a Germanic language. By the way, English is a Germanic language, which is where I get back to the video. The red in the map above shows the Roman Empire, and the green shows the short-lived Gallic Empire. It was also ended by Julius Caesar, even though he gave the Gauls special rights. I guess he wanted more land. By 509, the Merovingian dynasty had conquered half of present-day Germany. The Merovingians were Frankish monarchs. The Franks were a Germanic people. Yes, France is named after Francia, which is named after the Franks. So yes, France is named after a Germanic people group. Although not being remembered for ruling Germany, Clovis the Great and later Merovingians ruled Germany until around 600. At around 600, the Merovingians had died out and were replaced by the Carolingians. These were also Frankish monarchs, who ruled Germany until 888. In 729, Karl der Grosser became king of the Franks and Lombards. He then wanted even more power. So, he went to the Vatican City, which was then the Papal States, in Rome, and asked Pope Leo III to crown him king of the Romans, as he wanted to create an empire which would be the continuation of the Roman Empire. And so, on December 25th, Christmas of 800, Karl was crowned king of the Romans. He wasn't Karl der Grosser anymore. He was Charlemagne. Charlemagne then founded the Holy Roman Empire, which wasn't holy, Roman, or even an empire. It was not holy, but secular. It was Germanic, not Roman, and it was a federation of thousands of royal and noble entities. Here's a map of this horror. Charlemagne died in 814, but the Holy Roman Empire lasted all the way until 1835 in a very different state. In 983, after a lot of failed attempts to convert the Saxons, another Germanic tribe, to Christianity, Otto the Great of the Holy Roman Empire was unprepared for a rebellion. In 983, the Saxons in Oldenburg revolted. The Saxons resisted Christianity in favor of their paganism until around 1100. By 1175, those in the Holy Roman Empire who supported the Vatican/Papal States were known as Guelphs, and those who favored the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire were known as Ghibellines. The hate for each other led to the Battle of Legnano on May 29, 1176 in Italy. It was a Guelph/Papal victory. It was very bloody. By 1250, the Hohenstaufen dynasty of the Holy Roman Empire had declined so much it then fell. That's all I have for this part. Sorry. In 1273, Rudolph I was elected. That's right, elected Holy Roman Emperor. That's right, the Holy Roman Emperor position was elected. It wasn't hereditary, like someone's son or daughter, but it was elected. Anyways, Rudolph was the first Habsburg Holy Roman Emperor. The Habsburgs' power was only beginning to grow. Just watch my History of Austria video to learn more about them. By 1390, the Knights of the Teutonic Order, aka the Teutonic Order, a Catholic religious order, had begun dominating what's now northeast Germany and what's now the Polish-German border. Many people describe these people as villains of history today. Through the 1400s, the Hanseatic League, a trade organization, very roughly, it's very complicated, but it's basically a trade organization in the Baltic Sea, had begun. It marked a time of fairly good economy after something else happened, which was the bubonic plague. I left it out of this video because I've covered it so many times and starting to get sick of it. On October 31st, Halloween of 1517, Martin Luther King Jr., a different Martin Luther, who Martin Luther King Jr. was named after, nailed a paper with 95 reasons he hated the Catholic Church onto a church door. After making Pope Leo X furious, he was excommunicated, which is basically the church equivalent of being banned from a church. He didn't care, so he started the Lutheran Church. It then dominated Germany. Never again would the Catholic Church have power over Germany again. Luther began the Protestant Reformation. In 1565, German farmers who were sick of being poor revolted in what's now called the Great Peasants' War. 400,000 peasants died in this war, which was brutally suppressed by Germany's nobility. From 1618 to 1648, Germany, still a Holy Roman Empire, as well as Denmark, Norway, Bohemia, the Netherlands, Sweden, Saxony, Prussia, and France, fought in the 30 Years' War. It was fought for the hate between the Protestant Bohemians and Catholic Habsburgs. The Holy Roman Empire lost the war, and 20% of all Germans died. This ended the Holy Roman Empire unofficially, mostly, and Germany was once again split. And now we reach the rise of Prussia. I know one of my viewers was excited for this part. In 1790, Frederick II, aka Frederick the Great, rose to King of Prussia. His first act as king was to show Austria who was boss in the Silesian Wars. It was a KO for Austria. Prussia would exist until 1918 and was one of Germany's most important kingdoms. From 1756 to 1763, Prussia fought with Britain, Hanover, and Portugal against France, the Habsburgs, Saxony, Russia, and Spain, as well as Sweden, in the 7 Years' War. In it, Prussia once again destroyed Austria. It came with a cost, though. Prussia lost 260,000 people. From 1770 to 1779, Prussia thought Austria hadn't been sufficiently obliterated yet, so they gave Austria hell in the War of the Bavarian Succession. In it, Prussia, Saxony, and Bavaria, all German friends, fought against Austria, still led by the Habsburgs, to stop them from taking over Bavaria. It was a Prussian, Bavarian, and Saxon victory. Austria would never recover. But Prussia wasn't done with Austria just yet. From 1803 to 1815, Prussia's time punishing Austria for existing continued, with them winning in the Napoleonic Wars. When Prussia fought alongside with Russia, the UK, Bavaria, Hanover, Hungary, Liechtenstein, Montenegro, the Netherlands, the Papal States, Portugal, Sardinia, Saxony, Sicily, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland to stop Napoleon from taking over the world. 134,000 Prussians died. The Holy Roman Empire officially ended in 1806 when Francis II abdicated. In 1848, the people of the newly formed German Confederation and in 20 other countries, in what's called the Spring of Nations, revolted to end the old-fashioned monarchies. None of these revolutions won, and the German one especially was brutally suppressed. In 1871, the German Empire was founded by the very famous Otto von Bismarck. In 1914, Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria, was shot. Yeah, I've covered this a million times. Let's have a world war. It's World War I time. From 1914 to 1918, Germany and many others fought in World War I. It was a humongous German defeat. 2 million Germans died. Plus, Germany was destroyed and wrecked by the Treaty of Versailles. One man had a vision of completely undoing that. Well, we've reached the bloodiest event I've ever covered. We all knew this was coming. It's the event that one man started and ended with 11 million people missing. The Holocaust, starring Nazi Germany in Hitler's Reign of Terror. And by the way, I'm blurring the flag because the algorithm sometimes scans videos, and if it sees a swastika in it, it assumes that you're a neo-Nazi, and then it takes your video down. So I'm blurring it just in case. In 1939, Germany became a fascist country known as Nazi Germany. Throughout the Holocaust, 6 million Jews were killed by Hitler's atrocious views on Jews and all other non-Germans. The Holocaust is very personal to me. As a person who likely had family who I'm unaware of killed in it, I'm glad to say that Hitler's dream of creating an all-German, all-white, all-fascist white utopia died with him when he killed himself on April 30th, 1945. And now, 11 seconds for the 11 million killed in the Holocaust. After the darkest point in its history, Germany's politics went from far-right extremism, aka fascism, to far-left extremism, aka communism. When the USSR gained rights after winning World War II, they set up the Democratic People's Republic of Germany, aka East Germany. The West made West Germany. The Americans got Bavaria, which is where all those German stereotypes came from. If you see that white little smidge inside of the Soviet part of Germany, you'll see the city of Berlin. Berlin was also divided into 4, with the western half being called West Berlin. It was owned by the democratic countries, aka the West, and the east part of Berlin was known as East Berlin and was controlled by the Soviets. Later, this city wouldn't be just morally divided between economies, it would be divided physically. From 1949 to 1991, Germany was split between capitalism and communism. On August 13th, 1961, this split became physical in Berlin with the construction of the Berlin Wall. Families were torn apart. Lives were ruined by a wall. On this day, October 3rd, in 1990, the Berlin Wall fell, reuniting Germany for the fifth and last time. This became German National Day. And with that, that is my history of Germany. I know it's pretty long, and by long I mean the longest video I've ever made in terms of history videos. And I know it's pretty dark, but in the end, Germany came out as the richest country in Europe and one of the strongest economies in the world. And with that, that is my history of Germany. Thank you all so much for watching. Coming up next is another request. Romania is coming up next. Thank you for watching.